welcome back. We are here for the Between Darkened Mirrors, episode 9. Wow. Oh my goodness. All right. So, as usual, let me ask for a little recap of what the players who were here last time, what do they remember from last time? We do not have Lord Campbell Hughes's player today, but we have Whitmore back. Yay! So, we're just going to have, excuse me, we're going to see what people really remember at the topmost in their mind before we get into day phase. All right. So let me start from the right for me. So, Victor, what do you remember from last time?
I remember that we did the night phase. There was a dinner party that was coinciding with the play for the threat, and we all tackled the servants of the mastermind separately. One of us actually did talk to the mastermind. Most of my night was making sure that the hapless Melody stayed alive that night. She keeps finding herself in really bad situations.
All right. And Doc, what do you remember from last time, please?
Yeah, I remember it was a hell of a party, which again we threw that as part of our massive disruption of the play. I forgot how I ended up outside, but I think I was just looking to bother someone and drink with someone, some bourbon I had brought with me from the States in a little charred white oak, unused white oak mini barrel. And I heard Cobweb's voice from outside a window. And I was very excited about that. So I hopped out that window in full costume, which was like a Riddler suit, like a green Riddler suit with a chained up box chained to my waist, like a big chained up box with a big chain I'm dragging. And I'm also holding this thing of whiskey. And we made it to the backyard. And I was clearly being like strung along for something when Doc realized that the door to where the play was going to be was weirdly enough barred from the outside, like people were being locked in for some reason. Cobweb really tried her best to get Doc's attention, but Doc stayed on task and made his way to unblock the door, and in doing so also managed to not be stabbed by Cobweb, who did go in for the stab. Used to people going for the kiss, but she went in for the stab, and Doc didn't get stabbed. Managed to knock her out, dropping and shattering his little whiskey barrel, wasting that fine American bourbon. And then making it to whatever wing of the stage he needed to be on for his entrance, just in time to see Victor kissing the King of Shadows. That was like Victor's big spotlight moment. And then Doc went out and did a weird monologue.
Okay.
Oh,
right.
And then everyone got arrested.
Not everyone, most people, but
most people. Lord Campbell Hughes called the cops on everybody.
Right. It's great. And then Whitmore, you were you were trying to supply everybody with canapes, which people heartily enjoyed. And then you discovered some dastardly thing happening in Hargrave House. But then again, it is Hargrave House, so who knows? Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh my goodness.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. All right. So we do have some things that Whitmore needs to do this morning before we get started with day phase. So were you ready with the Mask of Dissociation, or do you want to wait until dawn for that?
I am, I think, ready with the Mask of Dissociation.
Okay, can you just read off the prompt and then let us know what the mask is? Yep.
That is the wrong chat that has that prompt. Mask of Dissociation. Each hunter narrates a time they felt like a stranger in their own body. It would have been a quiet day on the streets of London. Well, everywhere except within Whitmore's chest. There it was beating a mile a minute. As he carried the one bag, the one suitcase, and the briefcase containing literally all of his worldly possessions at this point. He looks down at the slip of paper, his hand holding it shaking. And he sees himself from across the street, looking at the paper, sighing, looking up to the sky, whether lost in prayer to a God that has almost abandoned him, or to Lord James Campbell Hughes up in the window of Hargrave House, just above him. He does not know. But he turns to the house that will soon become his home. And on his very first day at Hargrave House, trepidly takes a few steps up, and he watches himself enter into a new life. Almost tripping on the clutter that has built up around the front door. It is clear that there is much mundane work to be done, and that his employer already has need for him.
Thank you. And it looks like you have the memory as a servant move for
Yes.
Dawn phase. So wanted to activate that. Which of the options?
So from memory of the servant, I think it's just to read that out during Dawn phase, I may tell you that I'm keeping a memento, which happened from the recently concluded night phase that I would reasonably have been able to acquire. I'm going to be keeping this one because I think the most reasonable thing for me to have is one of the police go bags I was handing out. Whitmore ended up with an extra one. He prepped too much, and so he's got a police go bag.
Good for him.
He doesn't know what's in it, but he's got one.
Okay. All right.
And then, if it is appropriate to request a reward,
yes,
I will also be taking a memento from the play because I do not have any permanent conditions nor masks of the future marked. Bob, would you be able to select an item from or something that a reward from the play when you have a chance?
Okay, yeah, let me think on that.
If you don't have something right now, you can go ahead and type in memento from Doc.
Remind me, the first thing I jumped to would be like, because some characters were wearing masks during the play, right? Like actual masks, not.
Oh, well, the chorus definitely was, and of course King and Shadows was before Victor tore it off. So
I was wondering what was Whitmore's role that Whitmore didn't fulfill by instead running the party?
King of Words.
King of Words. And
King of
he
Words.
did so by saying a one-liner at the end of the evening.
I want to say a good memento would be a prop from your role, like maybe a large prop book, which is cobbled together from many books. Like it's a giant cover, like nice heavy leather cover, but like to be properly filled out, and also because maybe whoever bought it just bought the cover, it's just got a bunch of random books like affixed into it to make it seem full. So you've got a book of random other books that looks very official and very storied. It's got a beautiful cover with maybe a clasp on the side. It smells of freshly oiled leather.
Before we get started on day phase, let's go ahead and take a look at the hunters. So, Doc, you have drained, and then a fake condition TBD that I was going to give you. Oh, you know what? I'm going to change this up a little bit. You had a fight with your lady friend. How do you feel about that?
I think that Doc I think that Doc is conflicted about it. I don't. It's tough to meter out succinctly because I don't think Doc felt like a great amount of tender affection for Cobweb so much as like almost adversarial interest, that kind of bond, relationship, attraction, what have you.
We'll just call it that. Adversarial attraction.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think if anything, honestly, he's probably like more into it now. He's like, well, this is just gonna be a thing we do, isn't it? I wonder if she'll knock me out next time.
There you go.
Adversarial attraction.
Yep. And then Lord James Campbell Hughes is not here, but he does still have losing his patience and melancholy. He's probably over at the REC drowning himself in possibly drink and research. All right. And then Whitmore, you have not high on life. Oh. And then Victor, you have gash and challenge accepted. Yeah, you went toe to toe or hand to hand with Peas Blossom. So yeah, that'll be fun. All right. So given all that, right, before you all decide to greet the day and possibly, try to speak with each other about esoteric things or try to get things off of your chest, I'm going to say that there is yet another problem dropped on your doorstep, right? From one of the many rags that you receive at Hargrave House, it will say bodies have turned up in the Lee River near 3 Mills Island. The first, according to news reports, was a man perfectly purple in color. Next, a boat bumped into the sanguine sister of Joshua Cross. Her body was red like blood from the tip of her nose to the soles of her feet. This morning, 2 green boys were recovered, rigor mortis locking their hands together. The penny papers have come up with a fanciful and inaccurate nickname for the phenomenon: the monochromatic men of 3 Mills Island. Hargrave House has a copy of the Almanac of the Hyades. The discovery of these monochromatic people is connected closely to a cosmic event that, according to the Almanac of the Hyades, is taking place soon. Let me just take a little look-see at everybody's stuff. Oh my. Well, it's between the Legacy and the American. I'm gonna say, Victor, you might know a little bit more about this than Doc might. You've heard stories in recent days that make more sense in light of all this. What have you heard that makes you think a portal to another world is opening up over 3 Mills Island?
I heard that because they wouldn't be in proximity unless it is genuine, I heard that Rosicrucius is in town because he loves this stuff.
You really didn't want him in town, but he may come and see you, cuz, So this opens up our new threat, the monochromatic men of 3 Mills Island. Let me open these up. And just so you know, this does have a time limit, all right? I will explain that after I go over the questions and opportunities that are available. Questions. Who wants to open a portal and why? That's a complexity 6. You can resolve the threat that way by answering this question and convincing them that the risks outweigh their costs, or by destroying them. And then the other question, complexity 8, is how does the ritual work? Resolve the threat by controlling or stopping the next key component or procedure of the ritual, ruining any further attempt at it until the stars align again in 1,000 years from now. Okay? So, if you do not resolve this within 4 night phases, a portal will open up on 3 Miles Island. And something, well, something has already come through, I will say, but it will probably keep whatever came through here. And it will probably get more dangerous as we go along. So it would behoove you to make sure that this portal is closed before 4 night phases are up. Okay. So those are your questions and opportunities. Again, you would pick between the two how you want to resolve this threat. And then just go from there. Okay. Oh, and let's see, in case I hadn't already said, for the last threat, Limehouse Lurker does have a mask available to it, a threat mask. That is Mask of the Sun. And then the Monochromatic Men of 3 Mills Island has a mask, and it's called the Mask of Dim Carcosa. Three threats on the board. A little bit of stress, a little bit of pressure. So day phase is now open. You can choose to do some vulnerable moves to kind of help your conditions, or you can just go out and investigate, although you will be at a disadvantage, I'm sure. What would you like to do? Remember, if you are planning on doing any vulnerable moves, a vice has to be in play, and most likely the one whose vice it is needs to set up the scene. All right, so
I think Doc wants to go continue the party. So I want to use my cruel as the harlot's curse to slink off to the hare chasing hounds.
Okay.
And kind of be alone in a room full of people, kind of a thing.
I think Victor's plan was to it can happen like before you go to the hair chasing hounds, or like at the hair chasing hounds. Victor doesn't really care, but he will take up Doc's offer to help him with cleaning his wounds a bit, as like a vulnerable scene.
cool.
And then after that, depending on how much time we have, I don't know if it's like a day phase thing or a night phase thing, but Victor still has like a standing invitation for a card reading from Madame
Sorokin.
Madame Sorokin, yeah. So like after that, he'll head over there first.
Okay. Alrighty.
And then Paul, would Victor have informed the rest of the house that Rasa Crucius was near 3 Mills Island?
Victor refuses to speak about Ross unless it is absolutely necessary. Maybe if you like, I think you're the only person that knows about him. So, and at the very least, you can see that Victor always checks outside the windows before he leaves the house. So I think if anyone would know, it would be you, because you would be like the most like astute of Hargrave House.
In that case, would it be reasonable first for Whitmore to write a letter before leaving for the day, and then to take one of the books that Victor has, or one of Whitmore's books that Victor has indicated is about Rasha Crucius, to 3 Mills Island in an attempt to get the book signed?
Yeah, that would be fun.
I'm going to take the laughter as a yes.
Oh, love it. I so love it. Oh my goodness.
I mean, investigate the murder, but book signed. Priorities.
Priorities. Oh. Nice to know that canapé making has not dimmed Whitmore's fire. Really, thank you. Whew. Okay. Sorry. So, whose vice is in play for the vulnerable scene?
If they're at the bar, probably your vice, I assume.
Yeah, I imagine so. If you follow Doc to the bar, Doc could patch you up as he's like gearing up to do a little bit of partying. That makes sense. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So you catch Doc like This is foreshadowing what I wanted to do later when I was doing Rules of Heartless Curse. Doc is like in the middle of like holding some sort of like grungy piece of paper that seems to have been rolled and unrolled multiple times, and is like gesturing at it and talking to like a guy at the piano, not like angrily but very animatedly, like he's really making a hard sell. And I think when he notices that you are in the bar, you'd see him go like, no, we're gonna get back to this, and like roll up the thing, put it in his coat, and attend to you.
Yeah, I think Victor is just like, you were so nice to offer to help mend my wounds. I would be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to, my friend.
Yeah, all right. I dig that. I appreciate that. I wanted to make sure you were okay. It looks like you got banged up pretty bad. Let me like Doc, goes about collecting stuff. I think he's got like a little tin maybe with salve in his jacket, but then like has to go to the bar and reach behind it to get some bandages because he knows where those are for sure. And like get you set up, makes a little sign for a couple of drinks.
I think Elway will also like if you're in that bar, then I think Elway will also like take something out of the piano and then like kind of slide it over to you. It's a different vial from your usual stuff.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's perfect. We get 2 glasses. I pour one for each of us. Slide this over to Victor. You've earned it. You've earned it, Haas, for sure. With or without these, like looking at the wounds, deep bodily injuries you have. I don't know.
You wipe some of the blood away, and it's more blood than wound at this point. It's kind of weird. You would expect it to be deeper. And I think
flicking blood on the table.
Yeah. He can see that Victor's like playing up how painful it is. Like he wants to just like, like my friend's really helping me out. I want to like really make sure that he knows he's helping.
Yeah. That's great. All right. You've got an interesting kind of thing going on here. Does it really hurt that bad?
Oh yeah, it's burning, I would say.
Oof.
Deep.
That sounds terrible. What happened, if you don't mind me asking? Like begins kind of like wrapping you up, putting some gauze in places.
It wouldn't. It's something that's happened many a time before. A woman. Don't know if you have experience with this. Woman with a knife just tries
to stab you.
Yes.
That no kidding. That happened to me at the same time, probably last night. I just didn't get stabbed this time.
It's a great party, honestly.
It was a really good party.
Yeah.
And like Doc, make sure that you're taking a drink of the drink that he got you. Like, it's not over yet, though. It's not over yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean, not great. I'm sorry, you got stabbed.
Yeah, it's more a gash than stab. I she didn't mean to do it. It was kind of just like a reaction to the danger that was happening. You got stabbed too, or gash? Like
tried to stab me. I managed to not be there in that exact spot when the stab came.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I was a fly on the wall in that moment, I think I would have looked pretty impressive. Managed to catch the knife and knock her out.
I absolutely bet. If experience tells me one thing, it's that when a woman interested in attempts to bodily harm you in any way, is there something there? Is it
yes,
like, yeah,
of course, 100%. Now on my many passes west and east back home, there was a guy I rode with for say 6 months, I want to say a couple years back. His name was Shirley, and Shirley had this terrible habit, a magnetism, as it were, for women's knives. He got stabbed by pretty girls all of the time. And you know what happened to him? after
He-
it was all said and done?
He's dead.
No, actually, he
Oh.
survived. He married the last woman that stabbed him. Yeah,
So he's the last one.
They
Yeah.
moved up near my parents' place. They used to get the
Oh,
Christmas
wow.
cards every now and again.
Did they keep the knife? That
I didn't
it
even
like-
think to ask. I'll have to write. I'll have to
Yeah.
write Shirley because
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't think to ask. Yeah, it's a
my
good question.
father to this day in his office, it wasn't the knife, it was the spear my mother stabbed him with when they were young.
That's romantic.
Yeah.
Why is it a spear? Where?
Hmm?
Why?
Because
Why
it's a long weapon with the sharp
Uh-huh.
point at the end.
I'm just
Spear.
so like I think of someone with a knife, and I
Yeah.
can picture a lot of different kinds of people and a lot of different kinds of knives.
Yes.
Does she just have a spear? Is that a thing your mom does?
Yeah, my mother loves spears. It's her favorite one. She will it's great because any birthday, any holiday, get my mom a spear. She'll happily take it.
I didn't even think about that. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's
Doc
going
mumbles to himself,
well.
that's got to mean something.
So
For me,
going well, yeah.
that remains to be seen. I don't know much about this this cobweb. If she's not too put out by the fact that I, got one over on her, I think it's going well. I'm having a fun time.
From on a scale of femme to fatale, where are we?
Oh, deeply into fatale.
Deeply fatale.
Yeah, she was trying to kill. This is just my kind of conjecture. We didn't get to talk it out at length. She was trying to kill everyone at the party play that we were doing. She had locked the door to like the back garden area from the
classic
outside.
fatale. Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
She even now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like again still busy like
Yeah.
Changing hands between gauze and like drink so much that at one point like dips hand with roll of gauze still in hand in drink by accident.
It's sanitary. It's fine.
Yeah, totally sanitary.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I was literally lured out the window by the siren call of this person who then did try to distract me from opening the door again. I think to make sure everyone inside died.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So intriguing.
Hey, we have a very hard job. I'm just glad that you're having some fun along the way,
Thank you. I'm just glad that you're okay. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like you've already stopped bleeding.
Huh?
I've wrapped a lot of gauze around you, but
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, you're right.
Be honest with me. Were you even hurt that badly?
The flesh heals quickly. It's more the nerves underneath that takes a little longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did swing by. It's good to talk with you.
Just want to say, good luck. Have fun. And if you perish in a terrible way, I hope it was the good kind.
All right.
Yes. That's all you can really hope for.
That's all you can hope for.
Yeah, it's all you can hope for.
Okay. Well, I'll let you get back to it. I'm gonna see if I can't get stabbed.
Hey, I'm gonna head out too. Yeah.
Okay.
He puts his drink up that was poured to him up.
Yeah. Happy trails.
Yep.
I gotta wonder how much poison that drink is, because if it's something different than my normal literal coffin varnish.
Oh my god. Emotions.
I know it's not supposed to be straight funny. I know. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's so good.
So there was so much happening there that was just perfect.
So much good. So I have no words.
That was so fun. Do I roll?
No, you just tell me which condition you wiped out at this moment.
I certainly not adversarial attraction. I'm even more into it now.
Oh my god.
Drained though.
That's fine. You're energized by healing.
Yeah, someone I can. Well, no, someone I can relate to. It's like, oh my god, like you also get stabbed by.
Oh well, you're naturally energetic and enthusiastic. So just talking about it just made you so happy.
It's just one of those things you don't meet a lot of people you can talk to about the fact that the people you're romantically interested in are often stabbing you or attempting to do so.
Right. Now, who else would get it, right? Okay.
Yeah, right.
And Victor, of course, you took down Gash. All right, great. My goodness. All right, great. Oh, okay. So,
and he gets clue, right?
Well, I mean, so Doc, since it was your vice, I mean,
Oh,
either
yeah.
you can invite Victor to
Mm,
ask you a question about your
yeah.
past, or you can stumble upon a clue in your you know,
Mm.
in your meanderings.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
The clue cannot conclusively answer any of the questions
Yeah.
on the board.
Normally I'd go for the clue, especially because we've got a lot of clues to get, but that felt like such a personable moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it did.
I'll invite Victor to ask a question about Doc's background.
Yeah. I think Victor probably left one of his hatchets at the table, and he like rushes back in and he's like, "Oh, can't believe I left this here." Just
I was watching for
uh
you. I noticed it.
yeah. And a question he would ask Doc. And I think he would ask, I think at this point, Victor, like after that very like jovial scene, I think Victor like looks a little bit like not like like sad or like somber or anything, but just like asks you in a more like straightforward kind of way. And Victor just says, "So, oh, before I go, just wanted to check in. Um, I've been doing this since I could walk. So it's kind of just old hat for me, but you've been doing good. You've been these past couple like month or so, a few weeks. How are you handling the constant threat of like mutilation?"
Hmm. Like mentally, or how I've been able to survive the continued attempts on my life.
Yeah, just like, are you doing okay? Do you feel like you've is your upbringing like prepared you for this, you feel?
It's funny you should mention that, Victor. As born for this as you are, I gotta say I might be that much in the other direction. I'm not gonna try to sound too melodramatic, but I sometimes think that my past has died and I got to start a new one sometime around when I left the States and came to jolly old England. And that didn't give me a new childhood and new memories and preparation, but it did kind of force break the habits I picked up there that would have made this this something that child me never would have imagined. Certainly couldn't have survived.
Well, you just keep doing what you're doing. It's just like anything else. You put one foot in front of the other. You put one sharp thing in front of the monsters that appear at a time. Sometimes there's a lot of them, so you need a lot of sharp things. But for now, just the one at a time is good to focus on.
I like that, Victor. I appreciate the advice.
Yeah. All right. I can't forget this again. I was just about to walk out of here. And
I
he
was watching it for you. Don't worry.
Yeah. And he grabs it and he heads out.
Okay.
Okay, so again, you have St. Petersburg Mirror, you have the Limehouse Lurker, and now you have the Monochromatic Men of Three Mills Island. So, wherever you want to go respectively. So while you're thinking of that, I'm going to head over to Whitmore back at Hargrave House. All right, so Whitmore, you've finished cleaning up. Amazingly enough, I mean, I think between the cops coming and constabulary coming over and arresting folks, I mean, relatively neat, after such a big party. So you're doing minimal stuff, but you find out in your own way that Rosicrucius is in town, or at least at Three Mills Island, investigating this as well. What do you do to prepare for such a thing? To head over and meet one of these people that actually exists?
So I think Whitmore would definitely, today definitely calls for a clean suit kind of day of the busy work around the house suit gets taken off, and the nice outgoing, not quite Sunday church suit gets put on. The mustache gets combed and trimmed. A small picnic style lunch gets packed, of in which two books get placed into the sack, and Whitmore would take, on his way out, he would take a letter that he's written and stick it in the post. Specifically, a letter addressed to the local prison or local jail, specifically directed at the Mrs. Titania Cobweb Peaseblossom and Mr. Puck from the estate of Hargrave House. And it's a fairly standard form letter on behalf of Lord James Campbell Hughes and Company, requesting reimbursement for all of the spoiled milk and other dairy products from the party that evening, in the vain hope that Whitmore will be able to recover some of the house's lost property. It's not going to happen, but there's a hope.
And that's why we love them. But I'm going to say, as you're getting all of this stuff ready, and maybe you have primped yourself up in the grand mirror of Hargrave House's foyer, and you're getting ready to take the step outside the door, I think just as you put your hand on the door handle, ding, 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 ding.
But Whitmore would take his picnic lunch and what have you, place it on the front hall table to make it look like he wasn't just about to leave, and then open the door and welcome whoever was there to the steps of Hargrave House.
This person is still holding on to the bell chain and has this wonderfully vibrant smile directed at you. He gets a doorman. Amazing. You, I think, would recognize the Armstrong features, but in a burlier, but yet still graceful looking package. Maybe flowing hair and dressed in what would be considered a more flamboyant outfit that Victor would wear if Victor was, more flamboyant. But I think you recognize the star in front of you.
Roger Crucius Armstrong, as I live and breathe.
Ah, my reputation precedes me. How did I know? And he comes over and actually will one hand clapped on your shoulder and the other just kind of patting your cheek. Yeah, you are the servant, yes? I'm sorry. You know me.
Yes. You may call me Whitmore. I am
Whitmore, yes.
Part assistant to Lord Campbell Hughes, one of Victor's colleagues.
Victor, yes. Mm-hmm.
And part intrepid monster researcher, not so much hunter.
Well, that's why I'm here. Well, I mean, maybe I'm supposed to be visiting my cousin, of course, but I'm also here to do research. I heard that Hargrave House has a copy of the Almanac of the Hyades, yes?
I believe we do. May I escort you to the library then? But
Absolutely.
before I do,
Yes,
two
yes.
matters of business.
Business. Oh,
Yes.
so serious.
One,
Goodness.
may I get you something to drink on the way up?
Oh no. I have my own special tipple, but thank you very much for offering. You're just such a
Course.
grand beast there. Yes.
And second, and Whitmore would open up his picnic lunch and pull out one of the books.
Oh.
Would you be able to sign this for me?
Oh, this is one of the best tales ever. We're going to have so much fun. And you've made some lunch for me. How brilliant. Let's go over to the library and let's find this book, get some information, and then we shall be off. You wouldn't mind accompanying me, would you? For the day, maybe?
Not at all.
I don't see my cousin around, probably
No,
skulking about yet again.
He has headed off with our house medic turned scoundrel, or scoundrel turned medic. I'm not quite sure. And I
He likes
believe-
those shadowy types. That seems to be his MO. My personal favorite is, of course, to have an entourage, but small. I mean, cannot be seen all the time, even though, well, you can't hide this. Not at all.
No,
Well-
you certainly can't. Shall we to the library then?
Absolutely. And he claps you on the back yet again. Actually, what he'll do is like he'll put his big ass arm around you, and then he'll kind of like, pat your chest, and it's like, good man, let's go. And off you go to the library. All right, great. Okay. So Victor, you're going to head over to Madame Sorokin's salon, I think. Hold on, let me check. I always forget. Her seance parlor. Okay. This is a fussily decorated front parlor in an East End townhouse, replete with pseudo-Eastern European motifs. A large table with several chairs dominates the room. The St. Petersburg mirror prominently behind Madame Sorokin's chair. And the mantelpiece and the shelves are covered in knickknacks and curios. When you were here last, it's like you were looking at a particular painting on the wall that kind of gave like a like a sense this is, possibly connected to the otherworldly. So you see these things again. They haven't changed much. And again, it's like I think you can tell that that's St. Petersburg mirror. Nobody seems to be here at the moment. Elsie Tanner, who had set up the appointment in the first place, like she might be out. But yeah.
I think very similar to last time. Victor will just enter the parlor, look around, be like, hello, Madame Sorokin. I have an appointment. I believe Miss Tanner set us up for a card reading, tea reading. I'm not really sure which one is your style of crystal ball, your style of divination. And I'll just be sitting in the chair. I assume the one next to the big one is where we normally sit. And he will sit down and just wait.
I think through one of the doorways, there's like those weird beads, kind of making it look rather exotic. And you hear probably not to anybody else, but you hear careful, slow footfalls on the carpet coming towards you through the archway. And then she will suddenly make an entrance through the beads, and she will be veiled. Well, maybe not completely veiled. Probably like you can see her eyes above the veil above her mouth, and she has her hair like done up in a kerchief, a flowing kerchief of sorts. And her eyes, though, I think when you look into her eyes, you can see they're quite arresting. They're of a deep, dark color, and they sparkle. And she looks at you, and from underneath the veil, you can hear her intone. So, you have come to have a reading with me, yes?
That is right. Madame Sorokin, I assume.
Yes. I am Sarafima Sorokin. I have cards that I can use too. Well, do you want tales of your future or tales of your past? What are you in the mood for today?
I more have a question I would like answered.
Ah, the best kind. And she gestures to you're already sitting down, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so then she will gesture in front of her, and then she will come to the table in her deliberate stride, and then she will sit down and she will pull out these cards from an ornate embroidered bag. As I shuffle these cards, I need you to think of your question very clearly in your mind. You do not have to tell me yet what it is you seek, but I ask that you picture and think very clearly on the words of your question. And she does a shuffle with the cards, but she does it in a very strange way that makes it look like she's turning the cards like in clockwise or counterclockwise directions as she places them on the table, cuts them, and then shuffles them again. Are you thinking of your question?
Yes.
And then she will begin the reading. I think, this is a strange move, I would say. Did you actually have a specific question?
Yes.
I mean, meta, tell me. It's
Yeah.
like, and then
Um,
then I'll have you roll information move.
Yeah. So the specific question Victor has in his head is my fiance like how mad is she still? Is the question he has in his head. And I guess when it comes to an information move, the way Victor is doing this
Mhm.
is basically like he's had experience with like actual divination before. So
Okay.
he's trying to get like a sense if there is an actual paranormal energy surrounding Madame Sorokin when she does this.
Sure.
Yeah.
So sensitivity for sure, if that's what you're
Okay.
aiming for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's
Uh,
see. Do you still have anything?
I only have challenge accepted.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let that bother
Okay.
you.
All right. Sounds good. Um, that is because I just upped it by 1, a 7.
My God. Woo. All right. I'm gonna go head over to Doc before I go back and resolve. All right. So Doc, you are doing Cruel as a Harlot's Curse.
Mhm.
And I believe you've bounced from your respectable seedy bar, whatever, and then you've jumped to, I think, a darker part of London, I bet. Yeah, so tell me, what are you doing? Are you
My
skulking the
initial,
streets for
hmm. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's like not staying too long in
Mhm.
any one spot. I this I want this kind of to happen narratively, even if it doesn't help me with advantage. But I was going to use from my quarters. I have that poster from my fight with the slugger,
Okay.
and I thought maybe Doc would like sign it and sell it to someone for extra cash so that he could like lay down drinks for people at these bars.
Oh my gosh.
Not very conspicuously, right? Like not trying to bring people to him,
Yeah.
but like kind of quietly get everyone some drink of terrible thing that raises the vibe of the room, makes everyone loud and exuberant, and lets Doc much better kind of curl into the corner and be again alone in a crowd, which is the phrase that keeps bouncing in my head.
Okay. All right. Well, this is definitely vitality for sure. Even though it's like, maybe you're trying to exert some presence. Are you going to, like, let me ask you something. Are you trying to fictionally position this, or do you want to use it for advantage mechanically?
I wanted to use it for advantage, but I thought it fit well.
Okay.
Like
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So yes. I am not gonna hold on. Let me just double check that. You know what? Again, I'm not gonna hold adversarial attraction against you for that.
Okay. I'm
just
okay with it if it happens.
Well, advantage. So 3d6 plus your
Oh, right.
vitality.
Okay, 3d6.
And just make sure you check off the poster. Yep.
Poster's checked off. Let's roll. No.
What did you get?
I got a 6. I rolled a
Oh,
1, a 2, and a 3.
Oh my.
Is it
Oh,
worth
my.
doing a thing to try to redo Cruel
Well, let's put it this way.
Mhm.
I see no on a miss thingy on it, which means that the miss is a keeper reaction. I can react as badly as I want. So that is up to you. Let's see. How bad can this be?
I'm not. Well, okay. I'll let you give me.
You don't
the
have
thing.
to. I mean,
My gut reaction is to go for it because again, like I've got so many little boxes and so many little things, and I don't want to make it through this unscathed. And let me see, what is this next one? Narrate a flashback to your young adulthood that shows the incident that made you start to resent, even despise your parents. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna take Mask of the Past. I'm gonna take Mask of the Past and raise that to a simple success.
Okay, great. Okay, so on a hit, you clear a condition, so you can just totally clear adversarial attraction without worrying about it, and then choose one from the list below. You tell me which of those things that you want to choose.
Ooh, that's tough. Do I want?
You don't draw any unwanted attention. You befriend a side character. You gain some resistance to your curse. On your next quickening roll the increase the success tier by 1 step. You stumble upon a clue. So, one of those choices.
I think I'm going to take advantage on my next quickening roll.
Oh, nice. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, amazing with mask. Give me a second. And quickening roll advantage. Well, actually, like that's just a direct. It's going to up the tier.
Right. Yeah. I think increase.
Yep. So even if you roll a mixed result, bam, you've like succeeded, and then you'll get like superhuman. So that's cool. Let me just make these notes here. Mask of the Past. Okay.
Okay.
So
I need to
come
copy
dusk
that
phase. Yeah. So come dusk phase, it's like you can do the Mask of the Past or wait until dawn, whichever feels more comfortable to you. Okay.
Gotcha.
So given that, since you got a hit, yeah. All right, so you roll a vitality. You're gonna get a advantage on your. You're gonna up your next quickening roll. Excuse me. All right. While you're doing all of this, so you succeed. You manage to sell off the poster, and you have enough to buy some drinks for everybody. Buy a round or two, and just get lost in it. Are you going to do any other investigation while you're here?
The thing that jumps to mind, and you tell me if this is just something that is interesting to add to the narration or something that could be considered investigation. I think part of what Doc has been doing with this is like putting himself out there to see if Cobweb is going to make a retaliatory move. And so I think what Doc would do to kind of like further that, besides again like getting to a lot of places and not becoming the center of attention, but like leaving a lot of happy bars in his wake, is it like the last spot, posting up in that dark corner and then like just casting out his special sense, the same thing that, you know, let him not get stabbed in the, you know, in the spleen by Cobweb. And
Would you mind,
Mhm.
and I'm just going to ask you this and you can tell me no. Would you mind if in your travels for bars you find yourself in Limehouse
not
at
at
the
all.
Dog and Whistle?
Dog and Whistle. Sounds good.
Yep. And so you're like, you know, ensconced in the Dog and Whistle. And
That's perfect.
so, okay. So with the Dog and Whistle, dull brass fixtures, a stack of tin mugs, a painting of a dog, but no whistle. Paint the scene. This is for everyone. The pub caters to sailors and folk who work at the canal. How do you know this? This pub caters to sailors and folk who work at the canal. How do you know? And again, feel free and stick that in London. Again, this is the Dog and Whistle Bar or tavern, whatever.
Oh, and I'm not muted. Perfect. So the thing that jumped to mind, because I watched a video today of like the oldest fast food restaurant in London, which goes back to the 1800s. They make like pies and mash and jellied eels, which is a thing that I know exists, but I've never seen it. And it's really just chunks of eel boiled in hot water with a couple pimentos in it. And then you make a jelly out of the juice and you put those eels in the jelly. And I'm imagining, sure, there also are bowls of lots of jellied eels, but I'm imagining like in the back towards the kitchen, there are just like pots full of wriggling eels attempting to escape all the time. So like every time the cook turns around to like bring some pies back towards the bar area to be tossed out to the patrons, look, you know, two big pots on either side of this next to the stove, like they're tops just like peek open as like 3 or 4 eels will slither out of each and begin to try to make a way to freedom across the bar floor.
In the center of the bar, broken through the floor, is a giant anchor.
Dropped there by accident or for funsies?
There's a lot of different stories people say. It's different
Okay.
depending on who you ask.
Sure.
And then I'm sure you're aware how most taverns will have a bell that they ring whenever someone leaves a tip. The Dog and Whistle doesn't have a bell. It has a ship's bell, the large honking, the ship is coming into port. And it takes the barman or the barwoman both hands to bring the clacker back and ring it. And it only rings once. It's a low, deep dong every time someone tips. And it's become a game to see to see if you can get it so that the bartenders stop ringing the bell from tips because it's just too much work.
All right. So you're here at the Dog and Whistle. So you around, or you talking to folk, or you're just kind of like taking it all in?
I make my way to the bar, and after like sliding some coins to the bar person, saying like I want to buy you know, a drink of your most painful thing, most effective but most painful thing for everyone. And before the barman can like draw attention to it, I also toss like a coin in the tip jar, and the, you know, the woman has to like pull the big heavy bell and it says gong, and I use that to kind of get to the back into the dark. And it's perfect that you position me in Limehouse too, because what I mentioned earlier, like Doc maybe curling up in one of the dark corners and like sending out that sense that helped him not get stabbed in the spleen. I think it's very much specifically to just see like he's made himself into bait, not necessarily like something dangerous might happen, but he's trying to see if Cobweb's on his trail. So what he's doing is kind of posting up and then sending out that sense to see if he's being watched. And it seems like in Limehouse there might be might go a different way than I anticipated.
Investigate, please. Excuse me. Information move, please. With yeah, sensitivity.
Okay. Sensitivity. Just confirm. I don't know why the numbers are so small. I remember them, but I have to double check every time. There we go. 13.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh boy. I owe you a mastermind clue, gentlemen. All right.
Mhm. I'll make a note.
Yes. Okay. So for information, let me just double check myself here. Moves. Information. On a 12 plus, you also find a mastermind clue. Correct. Okay, great. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna head back to Whitmore and then I'll resolve all the clues that I need to give. Okay. Give me a second. All right. Oh, Whitmore, you and your new buddy Krush, and you guys are in the library, and you guys had done the library actually.
Yes. We
Recalling what, if and
Mhm.
what the hunters already know of the library and its unstuck nature. The Almanac of the Hyades is always on a particular table and is always open to the current date. What is horrid about the book? What makes it so hard to look away? And I'll make this for everyone, even though it's just Whitmore with Krush in there. What is horrid about the book, and what makes it so hard to look away?
I think that the hardest part about looking away from the book is that each page is unfathomably long. More text fits on each page than you could possibly imagine, it all being legible, no matter how far away you are from the book. You can clearly read, and you can read literally everything that's going to happen in a day. And it just keeps going.
You know that thing where this happens to me a lot because I'll wear a button-up shirt that has like a little pin on it. Sometimes when I'm kind of like just lying in bed or like laying over reading, the pin, not on this shirt, but on the ones where I have them higher up, it'll just kind of like peek out and just like stand out enough for my shirt that it's like, oh, a bug. And it's not a bug, but like it'll happen over and over again. So it's like just perfectly placed, like at the corner of my eye. It's like, oh, a bug is like on my face. Uh, there's something about the book in the margins. There's like embellishments and illuminations in the margins that if you don't pay close attention, like if you're not staring at the book, just something about like even on the table far away from you, those images are such that like if you let your side turn to it, it always draws your eye to it just enough to do that thing, that bug thing over and over. You're like, I know it's not there, it's just the book, but then something will catch the light a little bit and it's like, oh, the book again. So yeah, you gotta watch it so you don't think that there are bugs near you.
I think it is so hard to look away from the almanac because even in that flood of legible words, you can read for whatever reason. You can like see your name in it and like an allusion to, I guess it depends on the person to person, but like it's like when you have those moments from childhood that you always go back to in your head. It's like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? And there's always hints of that in the book. It's like your name, this happened, but like it's never to the right page. It's always like refer to page to this for this. And then like you turn and it's like it just keeps referencing other pages in the book when you want to like, how does it know this?
Sounds like we're creating House of Leaves. Oh boy. Okay. Sorry. So you are in the library. You are seeing this damn book. And Rosicrucius is already drawn to it. It's like, but he actually puts his hand in front of you, Whitmore, and goes, wow, this place has a hell of a feel. Do you sense it, man?
The air being just a little bit too still, the lanterns always being just a little bit too dim, the scent of something burning just always on the tip of your nose. That feeling?
Yes. And you can see there, and he's pointing directly at the almanac sitting on its little table. You can see there. Bet you can read it from here, can't you? I can.
Nope, no clue what you're talking about. It's just a normal library, and Whitmore, I know my character's name, and Whitmore would go to one of the several large windows and hope for just a moment that this isn't one of the fake ones, and pull back the curtains and open up the window to let a little bit of a breeze in, still attempting to pretend that this is completely normal.
Ah, ever the cautious and careful servant, yes? Well, I mean, I'm sure that does your master some credit, but yes, this room is very unsettled. But
I do not have a say. I do not have much say in how Lord Campbell Hughes keeps his house.
how is Victor finding it, just out of curiosity, as he's making his way to the book, as he's making his way to the almanac?
While it would be impertinent for me to show you his quarters, he's made them much to his own. And I can, and if you would like, have some time, can show you to the spare bedroom that Victor has converted into a training facility. Unfortunately, I've been meaning to pick up more straw for the dummies. So unfortunately, we've only got the one still standing.
Ah, yes, that ever-present training. Goodness. I'm more of the, how we say, I'm more of the arcane, the esoteric, the not mess up my clothing, as you can see. So, well, no accounting for taste. And he goes in and he picks up the book, and he is just, oh, look at this. This is amazing. That passage there. Go ahead and roll me an information move. You reason.
Absolutely. While I'm rolling this. Yes, Bob, I do believe that Rashicrucius is from JoJo. That is going to be a 7.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to give you a clue because I'm going to start to give everybody else their clues. All right, for 7. You are observing Krush as he is like flipping through this book and just admiring the design of it, and then they like actually tracing out some of the words, and then he will actually like turn around quickly and hand it out and like hand it to you and like kind of hold it with one hand and then dig at the one page and says, look at this. There's actually an entry in here that says ancient, detailing the sacrifice of 2 solid green human figures and 1 solid red human figure by a 4th hooded figure. Reminds me of the monochromatic men. Not all men, by the way. Of course, the paper's got it wrong. But it mentions the 4th hooded figure. Huh? Why not a color? Why? Why did they forget? Did they forget that on purpose? What is going on there? And that is your clue. The pointing out of the ancient text detailing the sacrifice. Let me put that down because it's a big clue. Give me a second. It's a long clue. There you go. All right. So, and I think as he is pointing this out, the library is again unstuck. It is rather strange. It is very surreal in certain cases. I think as you have said, like the light is a little too dim and things are a little too dark. Even with you opening up that one window to bring in like some of the who's the wingus? The breeze in, all right? It still does not dispel completely that suffocating vibe of the room. And he's still into the book. After he pointed that out to you, he's just excitedly looking through the almanac. And I think you notice there's like shelving here. It's not just, the four walls and then like, done. It's like maybe it has some stacks, like where there's, certain bookshelves that are in the middle of the room, kind of creating aisles and such. I think from behind the aisles, you spot peering at you through the stacks. I think you catch the gaze of somebody in a burgundy hood. It is a woman, and she is looking at you. And you hear the murmur of Krush, like, behind you, emoting over the book.
Whitmore would have both a duty and a curiosity to attempt to find and follow this burgundy hooded figure.
You see her smile before her hood turns, and then she goes deeper into the stacks. I'm going to go over to Victor. Victor, you got a 7 for... She was doing the reading.
Mhm.
And she is turning these cards around, putting them in what you would recognize as the usual, like placement, the setting and such. Let me see if I can give you a clue before we get complicated. And again, this is her seance parlor, like very heavy with carpeting, maybe some velvet draperies. And around the windows are more gauzy curtains and such. The windows are closed, but you start to see that the gauzy curtains are starting to blow as if being, accosted by some air. But windows are closed. Don't know what that's about. All right. So I think as she's laying out the cards, her eyes are closed. The gauzy curtains are starting to blow. And then you hear in your own ear, Victor, Victor, what are you doing? Why? I don't understand. What is the meaning of this? Whose voice is that?
I think it's I don't think it's the voice of my fiance. I think it's a female voice, and I think it's like a Victor's best friend growing up.
Oh, do we say? This has to remain a secret. If it doesn't remain a secret, I think we're both done for. Her eyes are still closed. She's still laying out cards, but they're very deliberate. They're very, like, it's almost in the rhythm of the whisper in your ear. And the cards are, you don't know what the cards necessarily mean, even though you're familiar with the divinations. But you can tell from looking at them that as she places the cards down, the backgrounds and the figures are painted darker and darker as she lays more cards down. And I think right now the clue is spectral manifestation, whispering secrets. And then she intones while this whisper is still going on in your ear. Do you have the question clearly in your mind?
Yeah.
Whisper, whisper, whisper. This, and she holds up one card, shows the history of the question, and it is of a darkened moon with a silhouette accompanying a large boar. She holds up a second card. This is the state of things at present with your question. It is a woman astride a horse, but the horse is death. And then this is your fate if you cannot find the answer to your question. And it turns up blank. Or there's a gray haze. And that's all you see in the card. And she will open her eyes, holding up these 3 cards, and say, "Is this truly what you search for? Is this the question you really wanted to ask?" I don't think she is foremost in your mind right now. Who are you thinking of?
I think Victor will answer saying, well, she's really more, I guess you're right. She's more of a issue I have to deal with in possibly further away in the future, but right now there is one more. I guess she would like to be called. It's really tough with Fey lords and ladies. They change very often, man, woman. Neither of the two, but yes, there is a woman that is something I'll have to deal with much sooner than my fiance.
He smiles. And I think she says, "Well, until you take care of the woman first and foremost in your thoughts, I don't think you will be able to answer any other question in your mind."
You're good. You're very good. Chills. Honestly, chills. Very good at this. Whether this is like a like a reading, you're very good at what you do. This very helpful. And to be honest, let's just be real here. Is that the St. Petersburg's mirror? Is that the St. Petersburg's mirror? Is that the
She will pull down her veil until it's like, kind of like acting as a collar, and she will say, "Very astute. Yes. That is the St. Petersburg mirror that is there. It is an object, possibly of power, but what do you see inside it?" And she invites you to see.
And I
Do
think
you look?
I think Victor's like, "Oh, can I look in it?" I thought it was gonna be like you may not look upon this all magical of. Can I just look?
You can. I'd be interested to hear what you see.
Yeah. Victor um will just stare into the mirror, see what happens.
Okay. I'm gonna say night move.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wait, what do you think will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
Um, like something's gonna happen, and fucking Rosa Crucius will have to save me.
Make that worse because it's so much fun. Well, yes, I can. I mean, basically,
Yeah.
I think that the mirror will like drop kick you elsewhere.
Mhm.
Because you're
Yeah.
you're opening
Mhm.
yourself up. Sure. Okay.
And probably just sensitivity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think any of this can really help me with this. Yeah, I'll just roll this straight.
Actually, hold on a second. Let me just check your stats here. Did you mark this? Okay, no, you didn't mark it. Okay, you roll it
Mhm.
like regular. Okay.
Yeah. I got a 8.
All right. Coming back to you. Oh, okay. He's not back yet. All right. You know what? I'll just go ahead and continue in then.
Oh, wait, no,
So
I'm back.
okay. So I'm just gonna give you your clue, and then I will resolve the rest of the rolls after we take our first break. Okay. So, Doc, we are at Limehouse. You got a 13, contemplating, God knows what you're contemplating in the Dog and Whistle. Huh. Okay. This works. All right. I think as you're sitting there, you will see there's a woman that's sitting over by the windows, and she's huddled in her little shawl and blanket, and she's just, it's always so damn cold in here. I keep begging Rory to fix the seals on these windows. Ugh. Ah. Can I have some of your pint? Maybe it just heat me up just a little bit more. Um, and she's talking to the fellow that's like across from her, like also kind of like in a similar attitude to you, like kind of slumped in his seat and such. And he just kind of blearily looks over at her as she huddles over and asks for a swig of his mug. And he kind of will blearily look at her, start, and then actually like thrust the mug into her hands. Go. It's fine. You can go and have it. Ugh. Just damn child. There's a child telling me it's like I need to be stopping my excessive drinking, as if it has any concern of theirs. Ugh. I mean, so what? This is my 10th mug of the morning. I mean, it shouldn't matter to anyone. I mean, I'm perfectly fine. Absolutely fine. It's calling me names now. Can you hear it? It's whispering at me from the shadows over there. Ugh. And she starts drinking the mug, and she says, I can hear it, dearie. It's talking to you, eh? Huh. Maybe you should lay off the pint. Maybe I should. Maybe Rory needs to change this formula if we're both hearing this child. Ugh. And that is the clue. A drunkard claims a small childlike voice from the shadows has been castigating them for their excessive drinking. but you see a very distinct slant of shadow near this fellow where it should be just as light as it is outside because they're sitting near the windows. So, and I will give the mastermind clue at a later time. Let's go ahead and take our first break. This will be 10 minutes. Okay. So we're back at the 21 mark. Okay. 10 minutes. All right. And we're back. Okay. So back to Whitmore. Whitmore. Yeah, you go down. Well, I should say that when you get round the one stack where you saw the woman standing behind the figure in the burgundy hood, I think it's almost like having that dolly zoom where you're looking down the hallway, but it looks like it stretches for a long while before it gets to one of the windows or doors. And she is beckoning to you. She kind of looks over her shoulder, hood still up, and just kind of beckoning for you to come deeper into the stack. Even though, conceivably, it shouldn't be this deep. What do you do?
Only appropriate thing. Adjust my suit to make myself presentable once again after the meeting with Krush. Take a beat to compose myself at the long hallway, stretching out an unimaginable distance in this room, and follow her.
Her back faces you when you come near. And you hear issuing from her hood, even though she does not turn to you. It is almost as if she is talking next to you in your ear. I met young Princess Elizabeth so long ago. For the first time when she walked in a meadow. She was so beautiful and promising. I actually thought I was going to steal her away. She was so interesting. She had so many thoughts and ideas. So creative. But I didn't. I talked. And I told her I promised to visit again when she became queen. The head nods. If you approach closer to the figure in the hood, she still does not turn to you, but the light streaming from the window nearby seems awfully bright. And then she says, I had visited Malvern Hills years ago. I know not how long. The Princess Alexandrina Victoria of Kent met with me. Well, I came upon her in my visit. I did not get to speak to her very long. Her mother came by and chided her for speaking to strangers. I know them all. I've known of every sovereign very well since Elizabeth. I am no stranger. And then the hood turns, and you see full into the face of this young old woman. She would be considered old by anyone else's standards. But then you look at her further, and you see within her hood, behind her graying hair, you see the sparkle of what looks like starshine. And her eyes also look as bright and twinkling. And she says, "You will speak to strangers, do you not? You serve that man, Lord James Campbell Hughes, yes?"
Yes, I do, ma'am. I was simply waiting for you to finish your introduction.
I muse a lot. I dance with the muses, or I did. So creative, so joyful. Those were different times. Ask your Lord, Campbell Hughes, when he remembers the last time he was joyful. I wonder if he remembers those dances he danced with my people. And me.
In order to properly ask him, may I have your name and the name of your people?
Oh, he knows me. He knows me well. But if you must give him a name, I have more meaning for me than you and your people. If he must call me by a name, tell him. And this is where she will be in your space, but yet it doesn't feel like an intrusion. It feels like dandelion fluff. It feels like sunlight on your skin. She will breathe against your cheek and say, "Tell him Titania asked about him and what he remembers of joy." And as you hear that word, I think you will hear bells of some sort, but not church bells, not the bells of Hargrave houses clanging, or even a simple tea bell. It is the bells of laughter. It is the bells of summoning. It is the bells of opening. And that sound fills your ears and your eyes and your senses until you're being shaken by the bell sound. And then you realize that the bells, the shaking is actually coming from Rosicrucius, who has come upon you and put his arm around you. My friend, I was trying to find you and tell you about this other passage I found in this book. This is an amazing book. He's slapping the book. This is an amazing book. You should read some of this. What are you doing back here? And you realize it's like you're just behind that bookshelf that you went behind. No long hallway. No long traverse to one of the side windows. Just a regular bookshelf. You all right? You seem like you've seen a ghost, although in this drafty rat hole, it looks like it could be very, very possible. Any ghosts in here?
Ghosts? No. Hargrave House, at least the library, isn't haunted with them. I was... Meeting would be the wrong word. thinking of someone that Lord Campbell Hughes might know to assist us, though it would be best to ask him that. It is also someone who owes Hargrave House an extraordinary amount of dairy products, but
Dairy products.
that is less important.
What happened to the dairy products?
A story for another time. One that I'm sure Victor would love to tell you.
Oh. Well, my cousin and I, while we have had a million stories told about us, I'm sure, I'm usually the one that comes out on top. I mean, he's literally doing the flex. But that's neither here nor there. He likes to be in the shadows. He finds himself to be that brooding brute that people seem to like. I guess for
Yeah.
their darker stories, I suppose. Me, I've got to be out there in the forefront. I mean, with this hair and these clothes. Oh my goodness, you couldn't hold me in even if you tried.
I'm certain that I would not be able to, but
You had something you wanted me to sign, yes?
yes, I did.
Ah. Pen, sir,
One,
I shall give a flourish to your, what is that? Oh, it's th- this book. Did Victor tell you about this story? Oh, and he starts going off about the story.
and Whitmore will think to himself as he sits in front of one of the storybook heroes that perhaps someone is always more impressive in their own retellings of life than they are in person.
And I think we shift over to Victor. Victor, you got an 8 looking into the mirror. Woo. Let's see. Yeah, I think when you first started to go towards the mirror, you saw a gilt frame mirror. It's like kind of got that iridescent sheen on its reflective surface, and the background was deep and dark. I think as you approach, you start to see like how these mists, the sheen turns into these iridescent mists that swirl and churn in its surface. I think you'll actually see hints, possibly, of other times and places. I think you might see a London that has been raised in fire. Maybe you see one of the rooms at Hargrave House. You recognize Hargrave House, but it is a room done up in a way that you didn't expect. I mean, there's actually more than one very handsome young man scantily clad in one of these rooms at Hargrave House. Or maybe it's another place in London where you see Doc slumped in a corner looking at two people talking over some mugs of tin. But I think you also start, as you near it, you start feeling this sucking sensation, as if you're being pulled, not just like your hair and your face, but also the rest of your skin. Your hair starts to move as if it's trying to drift right into the mirror, even though you're maybe 5-10 feet away. Or it seems like that. I think you're going to need to make another, excuse me, night move if you want to pull away from contemplating the infinite void.
Hey. I think now, because it's just him being pulled to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is mostly just for um the fiction. Doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
matter because they're the same stat.
Sure.
But the legacy, one of their abilities,
Mm-hmm.
is that they can always use vitality when they fight supernatural things. Um, so in this case, instead of him keeping himself there, his like spirit there, just by force of like will,
Mhm.
Victor, um, while still trying to sit very casually in front of Madame Sorokin, will just like dig his heels in
Mhm.
and just grab onto the table and will just keep himself there through brute force this time.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, I'll just roll this one straight also.
Okay.
Um, much better. That is an 11 this time.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I think she's sitting and she's smiling at you, watching you look into the gaze of the mirror itself as it gazes right back at you. And I think she sees the pulling. I think she sees like your hair being disturbed and being pulled in. I think she can see your skin almost kind of take that look of like, suction. And she's smiling. Her veil's down and she's just smiling at you and just waiting to see what happens. And I think when you dig in, even though you're trying to be as cash as possible, she's half smiling, half a little worried that it doesn't seem to be affecting you as much as she's seen, I'm sure, other people be affected. And I think if you're on the other side of the table from the mirror and you're doing this, you're digging your heels and you're setting to, like, you can start seeing like the creases, the lines of your muscles like start to bulge as you're holding on, and it actually, you accidentally push against the table to hold on to, and you hear that screech, and it's almost like everything wakes up. The pulling stops. Madame Sorokin starts, and you feel a release. You are back in your chair like nothing ever happened. Well, that was impressive. Usually, people cannot help but be drawn in because the mirror is so fascinating.
Yes, that mirror is seemingly powerful. Um, I have to say, this has been one of probably within my top 7 fortune tellings I've had.
She contemplates you. She will actually cross her arms slightly and then just kind of, tap at her chin. You are a strange one. This is not the first time you've seen such things, is it?
No, no. Um, would you mind if I gave you a short fortune?
Interesting. That is the first time I have been offered such. Do you want to do it now?
Yes, sure. You have cards? It doesn't have to be tarot cards. It could just be like a deck of cards. That's fine.
She will draw out of the embroidered bag. She will draw like a set of what looks like just plain playing cards.
Mhm.
You make me curious. I will let you do this. But she will, like, as you're taking the cards, she will put her hand on top of yours. Be careful. Your presence could upset the balance of my deck. And then she draws away with that kind of, what is it? Like sensual touch. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
wearing gauntlets or not, but I mean, like she's kind of like drawing back like that very
Yeah.
sensual, slow way that people
Mhm.
do.
Victor just like takes the cards, starts like cutting them with one hand, and he'll just start speaking. Not really like he says doing a fortune, but he's kind of just talking. He's just like, I don't really know how much you're involved in the other things surrounding this fortune place. And he like cuts them, and he just like casually just like tosses like 4 cards onto the table. He's not really even turning them. And he just goes, I see some misfortune in your future. And he's kind of saying this like much more loudly. Again, you could just be a figurehead, a pawn to all of this, but you have placed yourself at odds with Hargrave House. So if this continues, you may find yourself in more peril than you would like. And he just like throws 5 more cards casually, and just like puts the deck down.
You would, or Hargrave House would dare threaten someone like me? I
And I think Victor stands up and will say, Hargrave House doesn't make threats. Hargrave House makes promises. And he will grab his coat and walk out.
think if you
Mhm.
do not look back. Yeah, I think you probably shrug on your coat like as you go, as you leave, what have you.
Mhm.
But I think the camera will kind of like do that shot of you coming down the street, but then like, behind
Yeah.
you, you'll see like these tufts kind
Mhm.
of gather like from around the different alleyways nearby, and then just kind of like look over at you as you leave and start talking amongst themselves. And then Doc.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah, you've heard this drunkard speaking with the woman at the window, and you find out her name. Give me a second. Yeah, you find out her name is Elma, and Elma's always over by the windows complaining about the cold, regardless. And she's talking with the drunkard. Um, I don't think she like calls him by name or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're just talking.
I want to insert myself in the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna like come up with my drink in my hand. I'm sorry to be nosy. Elma, was it? I heard that your name was Elma. It's so funny. I just heard you two saying that you heard a tiny, was tiny confrontational child's voice, and as you might be able to tell, I'm from the States, across the pond, and it's just the darndest thing. I used to ride with this. What was it? I would call him a cowpoke, but this gentleman, call him a rapscallion in his own right, but his name was Shirley, And you see, and then Doc like goes on to wind a tale about a guy he used to ride with named Shirley, who one time when they were trying to like scare wolves away from cattle that they had been paid to drive, came across the den of those wolves, and there was like an abandoned wolf pup that he raised. And for whatever reason, everyone in the band, until Shirley peeled off with the wolf pup that he was raising, always used to swear that when no one else was looking, the little wolf pup would like speak English words. And this is me using a move.
I was gonna say, I'm like, is this Tall Tales?
This is Tall Tales. Yes, this is me
Okay.
using Tall Tales. I'm trying to disarm both of them with this wild story about a talking wolf pup.
Go ahead and read off the move before you
Mhm.
roll.
When you tell a story from back home that is wildly unbelievable in order to charm someone, roll with presence. On a hit, they fall for your charm and do as you wish, or reveal a clue, your choice. On a 10 plus, they won't ask for anything in return. On a 12 plus, they also give you a keepsake to remember them by. Ask another hunter what it is and then write it down in your personal quarters.
Okay.
So
Roll with presence.
Presence. That is 2. That's another 13.
Ooh, 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 look at you.
Same exact roll as last time too.
Wait, give me a second. All right, on a 12 plus. All right, so okay, they fall for your charm, they do as you wish, or reveal a clue. What do you want?
I'm going to go with reveal a clue, please.
Okay, and then on a 12 plus, they give you a keepsake to remember them by. So while I'm figuring out which clue to give you, ask another hunter to tell you what that keepsake is.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Paul, can you let me know what you think? What keepsake you think I got?
Yeah, and this is like the lady at the bar and the drunkard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they probably see that you're not, like, clearly not from here, and would think that you'd be interested in something else that is kind of like out of place here. They tell you about a strange person that like left like this mask here, and I think you have a sun mask now in your personal quarters.
Sun mask, like a mask in the shape of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Sun mask left by a stranger. Awesome. Thank you.
And then to add to that, this is the clue though. Give me a second. Yeah, I think it's the drunkard that we'll talk about this. And you're talking about your friend, and then like they're kind of charmed about it and what have you. And then the drunkard will say it's just that most damnable thing. It's like this child just complaining and admonishing me for all my drinking, as if that matters to anyone but me. But I mean, I wouldn't swear it was a child except for this. And this is where he pulls out from underneath his jacket what looks like, and this is the clue, a wooden toy Viking ship. Looks very, very old. And the old woman Elma is like, that was a right fine story, but doesn't help keep me warm. Oof, I need another one. Nice young man like yourself couldn't possibly mind getting another drink for me, will you?
Not at all, ma'am. It'd be my pleasure.
Thank you very kindly.
And she's like, sitting there, like, pulling the shawl even tighter against her neck. All right. So for that 13 on your move, I'm going to give you a choice. You can either request another clue, or you can have another mastermind clue. What would you like?
Let's see. So I'm currently waiting on one mastermind clue to be described.
Yes.
I can get another clue. I got to go for another clue. I was looking at our threat board at the start of tonight, and we've we're doing so good that there's so few clues left on the board right now.
Alrighty, no problem. I think what happens is it's like you get this clue as you're leaving. You say goodbye to your friends, you get like, another round for them and such and so forth. I think you'll see. Now, did you have Calliope with you? Like, in these travels?
Yeah, I think I have Calliope in the
Calliope
background. That makes sense.
Calliope would probably make sure that you didn't fall off her, like,
Mhm.
as you're making these travels. But I think what happens is, like, as you're leaving and, you're getting ready to ride Calliope, you realize it's like, there's like a bit of a ruckus down one of the alleyways that you were going to take out. And there's some carters that are yelling, and then it's like some workmen that are just kind of like scratching their head as they take their caps off and such. And then you hear them call out to each other, and you hear like a couple of them say, it's like, "We can't go no farther. It's like that idiot carriage has just gotten like just wrecked right in the middle of the damned alley. Oh, gotta find some other way to get out." So that particular passage is blocked. That alleyway is blocked. Get out. But what you will notice is one of the wheels. One of the wheels has a particular design on it. So, I mean, like, if I mean, this is not historically accurate in any way, just making a mention of it. You notice that the wheels of this broken down carriage look like they have like hubcaps or whatever, that have been carved in the design of an ornate sun. And that is your clue: a passage, hallway, or other thoroughfare that has been made unreachable by the sun.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. All right, I'm closing out of brain. Closing out of that phase. So we are heading into the dusk. All right. So dusk phase. Somebody has an advantage, right? Or no, it just automatically bumps up a tier. So whatever you roll for the quickening, jack it up.
I will. Also, I have a mask to do, which
Yes.
I can do later if it's better, but okay.
It's up to you. Well, I mean, let's get through like all the rest of the parts of the dusk phase first, and then you can do your mask. Okay.
True. Okay. Okay, let me roll the quickening now. That is, will increase the success based on the roll. We are rolling. Right. Okay. No need. I rolled a 12.
Yeah, you can't get any better than that.
You
Wow.
can't.
My God. All right.
just can't.
So quickening on a 12 plus, you get, you're like superhuman, stronger, faster. Manage to keep the quickening in check. You roll with advantage when taking actions that use vitality until the next dawn phase. So make a big fat mark on that, highlight it, whatever you need to remember that you are rolling like a superhero. Okay. Fabulous. All right, paint the scene about Hargrave House. Let's see. What have we not done?
Does Factotum's day work trigger first or no?
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I forgot that you have a dusk.
Yes, I've got both a dawn and a dusk.
Okay, go for it.
I think following Bob's observation of not having enough, of having too many threats and not enough clues.
Mhm.
I think I'd like to learn something interesting about an active threat.
Okay.
I will ask you a question. You can answer truthfully and completely, or in the form of a clue, your choice.
Okay, go ahead.
For the monochrome men of Three Mills Isle,
Okay.
we've covered red, we've covered green. Will there be more bodies of different colors of the rainbow? Or, in this case, the painbow?
Hmm. Let me look at the safety. May have to adjust this clue for that reason. Give me a second. All right, you know what? You can contextualize this any way that you want, but I think in day work, you are getting your information as you go along, and I think, hold on, let's see, context of day work. Yeah, answering callers. I think as you're sending out Rosicrucius, he's excited. He's like read some of the book, and like, he's kind of gotten some bits about it regarding this case. And I think he's going to just kind of say to you in passing as he leaves, it's like, oh, yes, I almost forgot. They found another victim, another monochromatic body. And it had an unusual dimpled pattern on the back. Couldn't quite say whether it was something that was already there or something that was put upon it. I'd have to check my own bestiary. My cousin's got one of those. It's a family thing, I know. But mine looks a lot better than his. I'm a lot neater. But this has been wonderful. I mean, would you mind if I came by and dropped off again? I mean, I'd be so happy to tell more stories if you'd like. And then also take a visit to my cousin who may or may not be here. I know how that goes.
You are certainly welcome back at Hargrave House, though I would recommend at least letting us know in advance. That way we can prepare, that way I can prepare something a little bit more regal for you. And then under his breath, Whitmore would mutter, and probably let Victor know.
Oh, no need. And he's like, as he's been talking and like, seeing himself out, which takes ages, and telling you these things, I think he's been picking out of your picnic basket and eating the food, drink. And he's just like, one for the road. And he takes the bottle of wine and like heads out. Thank you. He calls over.
That is wine for 3. As he leaves.
And I eat for 5. And he leaves. But that is your clue: a victim's monochromatic body with an unusual dimpled pattern on their back. Okay, I'm gonna do this is a little joke on me, because the room at Hargrave House where you saw those scantily clad dudes, Victor, that is in one of the other campaigns. So we're gonna do the salon. What do you see in this room that makes it the most comfortable spot in the entire house? That's their salon, not yours, unless you want it to be. And again, this is through your character's eyes. What do you see in this room that makes it the most comfortable spot in the entire house?
I think that Whitmore would know that there is a large, comfortable reading chair in the room. Of course, it wasn't originally, but has now since been positioned to look at specifically a portrait of Lord James Campbell Hughes.
this ended up being harder because you asked us to think of something good, that's few and far between when we got to think of something good. But I think that there is, to go with comfortable furniture, a like really, really well worn in day bed kind of fainting couch near a window in the salon. And something about like I'm imagining it overlooking like a little bit of greenery. I know we're in London and like there probably isn't a lot. Like maybe there's like a tree or something just outside that window. And the combination of this really, really well worn daybed and this illusion almost of green expanses when you're sitting in that daybed looking out that window takes Doc back to a pleasant memory of childhood, a pleasant version of home.
I think what we see in the salon that makes it comfortable is because I think it would be funny just to have this around, and like either we acknowledge it or we don't acknowledge it, but it's just there. There is just it's not the same person every time, but there is just like a person on a harp in there, just like playing a harp. It's like a very large harp.
Totally tangential, but in real life, I've actually heard Enter the Sandman played on a harp. It's the most amazing thing ever. Okay. So let us talk about what you plan on doing for night phase, unless you think that there's enough to answer any questions first on the threat. St. Petersburg Mirror, you have 3 clues on the board, but you have complex questions of 4 and 6 and 2. Limehouse Lurker, you have 5 clues for a current threshold question, complexity 4, before it unlocks the appropriate next question. And then Monochromatic Men, of course, of 3 Mills Island is new with 2 clues on the board. And complexity, whoops, I better change those, 6 and 8.
Is the Monochromatic Men of 3 Mills Island the only one with a timer on it currently? I forget.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, I didn't know if the mirror. I didn't think the lurker did, but I didn't know if the mirror did. We can only answer one question.
No, I mean, like, there have been people that have answered like 3 questions in a dusk phase, but I didn't know if you wanted to try.
So at this moment, the only threat that really seems to be an option would be Limehouse Lurker.
We could do the 2
We could do
complexity
the
question
2.
and get us that mirror. Because I think the way it's worked is like you can answer and solve the threat without answering that question, and if you do then you don't get the mirror. But like we could get the mirror.
That's up to you. I mean, like, if you guys want to answer those questions now, go ahead. With the Limehouse Lurker, you can try to use all 5 clues to get a +1 on your roll. For St. Petersburg, again, same thing. You could do like, incorporate all clues and then get a +1 on that roll if it's genuine. So
And the lurker has a mask, right? A mask of the sun, threat mask.
Correct.
Yes.
Then
Now remember, this is only a threshold question, so I mean, it just unlocks the next one. That's depending on how you answer.
I would be hesitant to do the St. Petersburg Mirror question before we get a few more clues, because we've been earning for that one slower.
Yeah.
And that could be because we had Slugger and King in Shadows, 2 timed ones, along with St. Petersburg. But
it'd be nice to get that threshold question out of the way, give us an idea of like what's next, what's the bigger picture for the lurker, because our view is so limited. With St. Petersburg Mirror, like we've got all the options right there.
So I guess the question is, does it matter if the vampire is young or old? To us as players, not to the story.
It doesn't super matter. For
Child
me,
vampire is cool, but
yeah, both is cool. I would also like to see seeing an old personality come from a child's body is also cool
it's really
to
good.
see. So
And
So
the clues lend themselves to that as well, right? We've got the child's voice, we've got the Viking toy,
Mhm.
cats even I think fit in really easily. It's the other tone of control placing.
the passageway that has been made unreachable by the sun.
Mhm.
Like-
Have you ever played the game The Floor is Lava?
I
It would be a
No.
potentially a passageway that, because they're a vampire, a creature famous for loving the sun, that they play this game, The Sky is Lava, trying to navigate through a
Ah.
passageway
Oh, wow.
when the sun is up.
Oh,
And
wow.
And so it is a game that a child would play. Possibly.
So are you saying young or old? What are you thinking?
So that could bend either way, of a
Mhm.
young vampire wanting to continue through childhood,
Mhm.
or an old vampire reminiscing,
Yeah.
or, as you said, an old vampire in a child's body.
Mhm.
Yeah, I forget. Is that question referring to the age of the vampire or the age
Yes.
of the body of the vampire?
No. Age of the Vampire.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
yeah, it's either going to be a child in a child's body or a old man in a
Mhm.
child's body, because that's when they were turned.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And just to clarify,
Or
the
well,
way that clue would then apply to the Sky is Lava game, is that implying that like the child vampire crashed that carriage in order to like give themselves cover to like continue making their way, playing their game?
You contextualize any way you want.
yeah.
It depends on how you want to
Mhm.
view the clue
Yeah.
towards your answer.
Mhm.
I like that.
I think the oh my god, it's kind of dark, but like, what's that one movie where the kid didn't know his strength? And like he like with the pet, is it Off Mice and Men?
Oh, Of Mice and Men, Lenny with the rabbit.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that happened too often with the cats in the city. So now they've been in
Oh,
hiding.
wow. Oh, man.
My alternative explanation for that, if we wanted to go with like, well, I don't know if yours sells old or young, but my first thought was that that could just be something that we know is only a ripple effect off of like a very old, very powerful vampire, right?
Yeah,
To like,
also that, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
the vampire, like predatory vibe is out.
Yes. Yeah. The
Yeah.
cats know better. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
So if we're saying an old vampire in a young vampire's body,
Mhm.
then the vampire must have had a mother that they were attached to,
Mhm.
or a parent, a parental figure that they outlived and continue to outlive. And so they've every year brought lilies to the
Mm.
gravestone. And
Wow.
because it's a vampire bringing lilies, the lilies just don't decay.
Oh,
And so it's
interesting.
hundreds of lilies
That's
on a
amazing.
single gravestone.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will also point out that the death of a parent is my thing on the safety tab, so I am okay with this one.
Okay.
Right on. Do we want to use all of the clues or just hit the
Um,
exact limit?
I'm down to use, because we'll probably keep getting clues for this, but
Mm.
it's rough when we don't get the answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. For the Viking ship, it's not really a toy. It was actually like handcrafted with so much detail, as if the person could have been there.
That's really cool. Like shockingly realistic.
Yeah, there's like people on there with faces.
That's really cool.
Very cool.
And then,
Oh.
I just had a thought for the drunkard.
Mhm.
It's not alcohol that the childlike voice is talking about. It's blood.
Ah.
There's a small part of the vampire's mind, very small at this point, saying, no, stop, this is wrong.
Hmm.
They don't, they can't, but there's that small little voice that says it. Unless, Bob, did you have something else for that one?
No, I like that. That's great.
That's awesome.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were just like crotchety, you know?
Yeah. That'll give you a +1 for this roll if you're saying that the vampire is old.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Now that is the worst question of the lot, but we do have to answer that one.
Who wants?
Who wants to roll? I'm trying to remember when I rolled last. I feel like it was recently.
Yeah, I think I'm the one who hasn't rolled the most recently.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, mostly because it hasn't gone well in the past. I got a 7.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. You're right.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Give me a second. All right. So I'm going to pop in the correct question.
See my eyeballs sweating?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here we
That's
go.
good.
Okay. So
Yeah.
actually, it's like it's in here. So let me reveal.
Ooh.
Okay. So,
close.
let's see. Yes, exactly.
I do want to maintain the policy of trying to use a threat mask whenever possible, though. I do like those so much.
Yeah, those are really fun.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I mean, if you, anyway, you don't have to, but you can. All right. So, reveal would be nice. Here we go. Here we go. If it is old, where is the vampire's nest? Complexity 4. Resolve the threat by infiltrating its nest and then destroying it or convincing it to leave London. So, complexity 4.
We cannot have the nest be the basement of Hargrave House.
We have to. In fact, actually, I
Oh
disagree.
my God.
We absolutely have to have the
You
nest.
will need to get the clues to prove your theory.
We're great detectives.
Yes, everything's a
We're
Hargrave
we're
So
house.
great that we
great.
overlooked the vampire nest in our own basement.
Hey,
No,
all right.
the King in Shadows
So
overlooked
much.
it when he put his play in our basement.
There
Yep.
you go. Clue.
Great. It's great. It's great. Oh, God.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm glad
I
we
know
made
it's
him
a
old.
goof. I know it's a goof, but I mean,
It's-
god dang, if you guys
But
actually
like-
managed to
but
make
like, what
everything
if?
happen.
What
You
if,
know?
though?
Yeah.
Mads, you control almost all of the
I
clues.
know, but I mean, it's just ridiculous. If you can parlay, okay, the
Yeah.
16 clue extravaganza,
Interesting.
but if you can make every single threat happen in the basement of Hargrave
Yeah,
House,
from here on
I will,
out.
I will
Yeah.
applaud. I will buy plaques. Okay, I'll
Oh,
be like, look, guys, they did it. They
Did it again.
We did it again. Is that us talking about our success or us talking about our tremendous failure that terrible supernatural threats keep just popping up in our
It's just so
basement?
convenient.
right. It's so convenient.
It's it really saves on that expenses when it comes to
Yeah.
taxi cabs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's all for budgetary reasons.
Oh
I
my
brought this
God.
horse across the ocean for no reason. I'm a
I mean, you could-
homebody.
You could conceivably have Calliope gallop through the house. You don't know. It's a big house.
Ride Calliope into the basement from now on.
Oh my
Mm.
God.
It's too
that's-
dangerous in there. I can't go by myself.
Shit. Oh shit. Oh my God.
Mm.
Okay.
So serious, so dramatic.
We are so serious and so dramatic.
No, wait,
Oh, man.
I've just come to the realization we can't have it in the basement of Hargrave House because odds are Lord Campbell Hughes is going to set the vampire's lair on fire.
True.
And Whitmore would like a place to sleep this evening.
True. Let's avoid that. Right. We have a lot of
Oh
yeah,
my
no basement.
God, no
Yeah,
basement.
Maybe the
Basement.
shed out back.
Although
Yeah.
when this converts and I'm sending it off to you guys, he's gonna see it. He's gonna be like, "Hey, we're gonna put everything in the basement of Hargrave House, man."
Yeah.
Oh shit,
Just
that
like
is
the
the
idea of
best.
a 1,000-year-old vampire just like posted up in our garden shed out
That is
back.
the best. Okay, the tree house. All right, it's in
Treehouse.
the tree
Uh,
house.
The
Okay.
harpist. Yeah.
Oh, it's the vampires, the harpist.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
Ugh.
Okay, trying to
Yeah.
continue onward. Okay,
Ugh.
so given this, what are you guys doing for the upcoming night phase? I'm gonna ask each of you what you plan on doing. Whitmore, what do you plan on doing for night phase?
So my original thought, to continue investigating the St. Petersburg mirror a little bit,
Mhm.
is I think Whitmore has some Hargrave House business with Melody,
Okay.
specifically, and just in the vaguest of sense.
Yeah.
She did technically work the party and therefore is owed some amount of money.
Oh,
So a deliverance of a paycheck and the ability to ask questions.
sure. Well, I mean, you can visit her shop. I mean, like,
Yes.
yeah, cool. All right. And Doc, what are you doing?
I think I'm feeling strong, right? Like I have the quickening under control tonight. So I think I'm gonna do kind of like a reflection of what I did with the Sure Slugger when this happened. I'm gonna go on the offensive. I think in my mind it works like this. It's like we're answering a question. We've solved the part of this. We've like nailed down maybe several recorded important, very, very old vampires. And are like, oh, this vampire might be like one of these. This is a big deal. And so like the extrapolation on that is, okay, well, that kind of very old vampire doesn't just like hang out by themselves and wait for stuff to happen. They have things, they have agents, they have even animals, right, that they're turning to a thing. And so Doc is going to find one of those, whether it's like a Renfield kind of thrall, or like even because of how in tune with their instincts, or with his instincts that Doc is right now, even if it's like a cat being controlled by the vampire, Doc feels confident that he can like get that, and in doing so, either pick up part of the trail or just shake things up enough to maybe like get the vampire to do something foolish. So hunting, I'm hunting.
Okay. Now, you can't resolve it until you answer the question, of course. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like if you want to do a shakedown of the vampire and make them nervous, we'll see.
And that's why I wanted to specify like agents of the vampire, because otherwise it just implies like I'm going to hunt and find the vampire's lair, which we can't do until we resolve the question. So like I'm trying to find a person to shake down.
Okay. Fair. And Victor, what are you doing?
I think Victor will follow through with what he said to Madame Sorokin. It makes sense that if Madame Sorokin and the blackmail ring has one like civil service worker under their thumb, there should be others that are also under their thumb.
Yes.
So and
I mean,
so like yeah, they would
if anything,
probably
there's a cultural attaché, there's other locations. I mean, hell, you can even go visit there's like a park for diplomats.
Yeah.
It's like there's I think the embassy and such. So I mean, like, you can go to different places and whatever.
Yeah. I think the park would be what I would be going for. I would like to use the hunt comes to you and just be patrolling in the park.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Remind me about that, like, when we get to night phase. Okay. Now it says that you can have like, resolving any Janus mass, but if you don't mind, since it's like we're coming to time and I don't want to go too far over, like if you can save that for dawn phase.
Yeah.
Great. And then we're going to introduce an unseen. Okay. Unseen. Let's see what looks good for next time. All right. I think we're going to do the Billingsgate Fish Market. Okay, and that is on line 41. Should be the first one, I believe, on that line. All right. The fish market at Billingsgate, within the bounds of the city of London itself, is the largest in the world. Even in the dead of night, it's a hive of activity as the porters, traders, and fishwives prepare for the return of the trawlermen before the sun rises over the Thames. Stalls are scrubbed, ready for the day's catch, and lamps lit on the wharves. All right. So First prompt is going to go to Bob. Second prompt is going to go to Jeremy. Third prompt is going to go to Paul. And paint the scene as everyone. Okay. All right. So we're all set for unseen for next time. Blank this out just to make sure I got that covered. All right. So we're just gonna save any masks for next time. I owe you still a mastermind clue. And let's just go over to stars and wishes so we don't go too far over. Stars, of course, are what you appreciated about tonight's game, each other, the gameplay, and then wishes are what you'd like to see for next time or in the future, especially with your character arcs and such. Okay? Whomever wants to go first.
I'm already off mute, huh? I volunteered myself. Truly an embarrassment of riches tonight as far as stars to put up. God, it just stayed really good and brilliant and interesting the whole session. But I think that all of us individually earned our stars in those few first interactions. Of course, Paul, that was such a wonderful scene to do with Victor. That was just both touching and hilarious and just very, very real. And I loved it so much. So good to play with you back and forth. Really fed each other the energy there. And then separate but in the same scene stars for Mads and Jeremy. That first, I mean, the whole thing, but especially that first interaction, that set of interactions with Whitmore and the other of the Armstrongs, who looks like President Valentine from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run, was just brilliant. Was just so good. And then, like, you know, even extending into the future, being able to come back to the whole signing the book thing was just perfect. Y'all both tidied that up so well, even though it was like broken up into a bunch of different scenes across the whole session. I loved it. And yeah, stars to both. And wishes. At this point, I feel like we're in such a good rhythm, and I'm getting so much of what I want out of my character interactions. I know last time I said, I think more than one of us said, wanting to like get the whole crew in on a couple scenes. We haven't done that yet, so I won't repeat that. I guess the wish for me, what do I want? I guess getting Doc into more danger.
I will say to do that, you have to roll badly. You rolled really well this week. I mean, this session. So just so you know,
Yeah, I'll add a small addendum then. Get him into more danger that lets him demonstrate the that high sensitivity that he has, right? Like that kind of being clued in both instinctually and I think in some part knowledgeably with occult and spiritual stuff. I think that is my wish.
Without repeating everything Bob said about the introduction, similar thoughts. Star from Mads, the speed at which you switched from the flamboyant Rashicrucius to the almost crone-like Madame Sorokin was wonderful. It was 2 beats of transition and then right into the next voice and the character, and that was a treat to see. A star for Paul, because God, that was the single worst fortune telling I've ever loved. That was beautiful and it fit Victor so well, but that was not a fortune telling. And then to echo Mads, a star for Bob, because your roles tonight from the initial low point on that roller coaster ride back up to rolling back-to-back 13s, keep whatever dice you use this evening, put them on a pedestal, and maybe sleep with them by your bedside. As far as wishes, just because it's been a while since Lord Campbell Hughes has been here, or that Whitmore has been with Lord Campbell Hughes, I'd kind of like to see them in a kind of forced physical intimacy. I'm thinking not necessarily hiding in a closet or trapped in a small, narrow, confined space, but something where there's no real easy way for either of them to get out of it. Sort of a forced physical closeness. But we will see where the story takes us.
For me, echoing a lot of stars everyone already said, star to Jeremy just for having. It's great to have our Factotum back. I really loved the scenes with Rosicrucius. It really there was a point where like it could have been the Explorer or the Legacy that the Factotum would have been like, that you were like thinking about which one, and it's cool to see like what the Factotum would be like if it was like a Legacy that they chose to be the servant. Like it feels like without Lord Campbell Hughes here, you just like became the Factotum for Rosicrucius in that moment, and it was really fun to see. Yeah, Bob, yeah, great. Thanks for playing off of me. I say a lot of weird, like random stuff sometimes, and it's really fun to have someone play off that. And star for Mads, really cool card reading. You did a much better job than I did. It was tough to follow with my card reading. I love it. You could like I was pretty vague about Rosicrucius, so I didn't know what he was gonna be like. It's cool to see him like be just like the boisterous, heroic figure that every young monster hunter aspires to be. It was really fun to see. And yeah, just start for Mads because like it like watching you run the between like makes me want to run it. Like it seems like having a lot of fun, and I'm just like, oh, I should like probably run this again at some point when I have time that's somewhere hidden. But yeah, start for that. Looks like a lot of fun.
I mean, I'm not going to repeat anything, although I'm going to say for Victor, it's like, this isn't a fortune telling. This is a promise. Oh my God. That was like so Legacy. And then, yeah, Bob, when Doc gets on the screen, again, I just keep on getting this feeling of like the big ass Labrador just kind of tumbling over himself and just getting into trouble, you know? I mean, like, you know, this is the dog that's gonna eat garbage and still come out on top. I don't know what. It's great. I love it. I love him so much. And then like with the tall tale, like, you know, I like seeing that move because I don't think I've seen it before. So it's wonderful to like see other moves being used than the usual, like, okay, like the violence and the quickening and all this kind of stuff. So that's very awesome. And then Whitmore just sees stuff and just meets people, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's so easy to use you as a sounding board as well as a jumping off point. So it's like, you know, I knew I was going to sort of like bring Rosicrucius in, especially because of the mention of the almanac. But I mean, like, just for the fact it was so convenient to just meet up with Whitmore and go, yeah, like, how you doing, sir? You know, it's like, this is wonderful. Oh, a fan. Oh, even better. And then, like, you know, eating your picnic lunch. I mean, it was just so much fun. You guys are so much fun to play off of, no matter like, you know, which NPC you call up or like, you know, whomever you meet. I mean, like, it's always a very great experience for me because it's like, you know, I get to be all these different characters and just kind of just bounce back and forth. And the way you guys respond is just so, I'm going to say it. It's just like so delicious. It's like, yes. All right. They're responding back. It's great. So yes. Thank you for making running the game like fun and interesting. And that's why I continue to do it. I mean, I like the game, but I mean, I don't have to do it, but I like it. I like it a lot. So thank you very much. Wishes. Yeah, I mean, like, I would love to see more scenes with you guys together. And then, like, it's supposed to be dangerous. I get it. But I mean, you have the opportunity with vulnerable moves. You have the opportunity in day investigations to just kind of like pair up and then see what kind of combos you get. Like if one person's in danger, then somebody else is discovering something else, or the absence of finding out something will get you both in hot water, and it creates more drama. Or, I mean, like, forming more connections between the two. I really like that idea of like trying to figure out a way to get the Explorer and Factotum to get themselves into a weird situation. I just haven't figured out what that is yet. So we'll see, because the night is mine. I just don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But yeah, can't wait to see Lord Campbell Hughes back in play, and again, the rest of you all together. And yeah, I'm curious to see how these turn out. I mean, this will be great. So have at it, keep going. And we're gonna sign off for the night. See you in another couple of or a few weeks, because the fifth Thursday always messes things up. So again, like, you guys are on the second and fourth Thursday of the month, unless I got some shit going on for work. So I will see you then. All right. So whatever you're doing, happy gaming. All right. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.